What's going on, Duke Gang? The Section 17 podcast, after several months of hiatus, is back, baby. We are back with our first preseason football pod. Welcome to the Section 17 podcast. I am your host, Josh Cox. I'm here with Brian Kennedy, Scott Medlin, and Jamie Holt. And Duke football camp is in full gear. We were able to be there on day one, got to see some things, got to hear some things, smell some things, and then been following it ever since. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to take your questions a little bit later on in the mailbag. You guys were like, awesome. We're probably not even going to be able to get to all the mailbag questions. That's probably what tonight's really going to be, honestly. But anyway, it's been a while, guys. We took some time off. I want to briefly explain that, and then I'll let these guys talk, but briefly explain it. Honestly, we try to be straight up here on this podcast. Got a little bit with everything that happened at the very end of the portal. The QB that will not be named, taking off at the last minute, taking the wide receiver with him. We just kind of got in a little bit of a funk, and we're kind of done with it for a little bit. And so took a little bit of time off. And then got back in the saddle. So also wanted to say this. We did not come prepared tonight to have our sponsor readings because we have not yet gotten those readings from our sponsors, but looking forward to welcoming our sponsors back this year. And I had a meal with them not long ago. So anyway, that's kind of the explanation. Obviously, Scott covered baseball. I covered basketball. We did a little bit of that. And, baseball had a pretty disappointing season, wins and losses wise. Basketball was what it was. You guys followed that. Just a very disappointing loss to UConn there. So anyway, that's catching us up. Real quick, let's hear from Scott and Jamie, and then Brian, you'll go last. Is that cool? Scott, man, tell us real quick, man, off season, where you been, where's your head been at?
Well, definitely glad that football season is here. Obviously, that's one of the highlights of every summer. Looking forward to getting started. I mean, again, watched the Pro Football Hall of Fame the other night. Didn't care anything about it, no matter what. They were playing football. It was on television. It was worth sitting down and watching. So really excited about that. Really glad that camp's opening. I mean, 3 weeks from now, we're looking forward to the Horny Frogs taking it to the Tar Heels over in Dublin, and that's that's the great way to start the season. But man, ready to get some Duke football going and ready to hang out with the boys and get ready to tailgate and all that fun stuff.
Oh, I was unmuted that whole time. I didn't realize it. That was my bad. If I was breathing heavy, sorry. There will be a lot of that this year, probably. Yeah, y'all know where I've been. I've been at the beach. Like, that's where I spend my off season. That is the off season for me. Yeah, I mean, like Josh mentioned, was a bit taken aback by the Benedict Arnold, Darian Mensah, whatever. Done with it. Done with it. But like at that point, when he left us on that, what was it? It was a Friday, right? He left us on a Friday with like 8 hours left in the to get a replacement. Was just that was just I couldn't anymore. But yeah, after a few months, we're back. Like Scott mentioned, was excited to see the Hall of Fame game. The Panthers, you're welcome, America, for the best Hall of Fame game probably in the history of NFL football. But anyways, glad to be back.
And this isn't an ACC football podcast, but I mean, we Duke fans have seen Haynes King play football for 4 years, and like, I don't think anything that happened in that game surprised any Duke fans.
Of course, he hurt his hamstring while he was out there, so that's classic.
Every
that's
quarterback
classic
in the
Panthers.
game played in the ACC. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, that's true. There was Beck was out there. The Panthers defense made him look like the greatest quarterback on the face of the earth. But anyways, glad to be back. Glad that football season is gearing up. Good to see the boys back at practice and getting ready for the season. Been enjoying watching those little 30-minute videos that Duke has been putting out. Those are good, and glad that Josh was able to get out to the first practice and see some things. But really looking forward to the season. And I'll mute up.
Well, it's been 6 months, 8 months, 7 months of a lot of reflection. I speak on the same grounds as Jamie, Scott, and Josh when I say that what transpired at the 11th hour of the transfer portal, I mean, just flat out sucked. You know, Duke fans coming off the high of the ACC title game, as well as the Sun Bowl victory, thinking that, hey, Duke's going to come into this year with a chance to make it to the CFP. Not saying that it won't happen, but very, very tall mountain to climb with the uncertainty in certain positions. But these last 7 months have made me think a lot more than what I typically think in the off season. And, 6.5 years ago, Josh reached out to me out of the blue and said, hey, we've got this idea, me, Jamie, and Scott. We know you're a big Duke fan. We want you to join us. We think you would, help bring this podcast to another level. And we're going to just talk about Duke football. Now you have to remember, when we started this, we were almost back into the dark ages of Duke football. We were very close. Had it not been for Mike Elko, yes, I will say his name, Mike Elko, resurrecting the program, we might not be on here tonight talking, if we're being completely honest. Jamie, I believe there was a Panthers podcast that had stopped podcasting at one point because the Panthers were so bad. We probably would have been to that point. But all that to say, these 6.5 years have been great. For those of you who don't know, this is going to be my last appearance on the Section 17 podcast for the foreseeable future. I'm not saying forever, but I am saying for the foreseeable future. There's nothing wrong. We didn't get into a big argument. The four of us are still good. That too. I knew you were going to get that in at some point, Josh, just to lighten the mood. But truly, in these last 7 months, I've started realizing that my time, my energy, I'm going to try really hard to get through this, and my effort are needed more with my boys. There were some times where I would be on the field doing what I love, and I'd look in the stands and I'd see them there. And I want to be there. I wanted to be there. But I also made a commitment to you, the fans, and to these guys that I would do what I would need to do, and that is pester Laura, our photographer, for helmet photos, but also, make sure that our producer Tyler is still getting those great shots that he's getting, trying to, if he's looking one way, to direct him another way. And yes, I did direct him on the field for those of you who I would joke with. But the more we got through the season and the more they came to games, the more I realized I need to be there more than I need to be on the field. And I'll tell you guys like it is. I spoke with Josh probably, I think it was April, and I said, I'm just to the point. I just don't think I can come back. And I'll be honest, I think we all have that feeling for a short time after a season. But as we get closer to the season, the feeling gets ramped up, and then we get ready to go, and we're right back in it. I haven't had that feeling this in these 7 months. And I think that's just validation that it is time for me to step aside, because I never want to come into something at 50%. It would be a disservice to you, the fans. It would be a disservice to these guys. I don't want that. I don't want you guys to want that. And don't get me wrong, this podcast has done more for me than some of you will ever know. For those who may have come in late and don't know, when we first started this podcast on December 24th of 2020, my son Harrison was diagnosed with leukemia. This was an outlet for me. This was a distraction for me. It was something I loved, but it also kept me sane while my son went through what he went through. So I will forever be grateful for this podcast. I will forever be grateful for these four guys, Tyler included, Justin Sykes as well. I'll be forever grateful to the Duke football program. When we started this up, we were just going to talk about Duke football. We had no inkling that we would get to where we are today. And again, I'm going to say his name. Honestly, if it wasn't for Mike Elko, we wouldn't have gotten to the places that we've gotten to. because he understood what we were trying to do. He took us in as family. He treated us, I'll just say it, I think a little bit different than your atypical media outlet, because he understood we were trying to bridge the gap between the community and the football program, and it seemed like that had been broken over time. Now, will I still be at games this year? Absolutely, but probably not as many, because again, as I stated, my boys not only need me in the stands to be their dad and a fan next to them, but they need me to be a father outside of Duke's stadium and to help them coach and develop and learn and do all the things that a typical 10 and 7-year-old would want. This was a tough decision. I mean, I ran it by my wife, as I told you earlier. I ran it by Josh. I ran it by the guys. You know, it may seem like I'm blindsiding you guys. I'm sorry, but this is just a decision that needed to be made. And I wanted to come on here before the actual season started to let y'all know I appreciate each and every one of you. Those of you who gave me flack, who gave me crap, Lane Phipps, I'm sorry, bud, but I think I saw one of your questions. Not going to happen this year, bud. I'm taking a step away. Kurt
Shout out
Klein.
Kurt
Yep.
Klein, Bill Kaufman.
Yep. Oh, Bill. I'm. You know what? I might just block you just as a farewell, but I would unblock you, of course. Regina Lee. I can name Peter Dodge. I can name all the fans. It has been an honor to be able to help you guys stay informed with Duke football, to want to stay informed with Duke football, to want to come to games, and to want to just hang out with all of us, not just us, but the Scums and the Rocket Man and the Bayou Blue Devil. And I'm sure I'm missing someone, but we have been able to help build a community. And the hard hat guys, of course, I can't forget the hard hat guys. We've built up a community that I don't think is going to go away anytime soon. Win, lose, or draw, what happens this season, next season, within the next 5 years. I know I'm going on like an Oscar speech, but this has just been on my mind, and I love each and every one of you guys. I know that we have our own group chat, and I know that we pick and play with each other, but truly, I want to thank each one of y'all for keeping me in line sometimes, to making me realize that I'm out in left field when it comes to some things, to laugh at my stupid names that I used to mess up. Now Jamie's taken that mantle, which I think there's some questions that Jamie might trip up on later in the episode. But thank you everyone for accepting not only me but us. These guys are going to do great continuing this. And as I stated earlier, it's not forever. It's just for right now. I don't know when I'm going to be back on here, but if you come to the games, you'll see me at games. Don't be a stranger. You can talk to me. You can say whatever you want to me. I won't be offended. I can't block you anymore. I'm not going to block you anymore. But again, I wanted to come on here instead of posting something on Facebook or Twitter and it being, taken out of proportion. So with that being said, I'm going to log off here in a second. But again, thank you everyone for your acceptance, your understanding, your support is the biggest thing. And guys, I need to stop or I could keep rambling on. But again, thank you all.
Man, we appreciate Brian, and just to be, he mentioned it. We had conversations earlier on this year. I mean, if we can be very honest, we actually had conversations last year as well.
Yeah.
Just about that. So, man, Brian, we appreciate you, dude. And obviously you'll see Brian around. I'm sure Brian will try to bum free tickets off of us and stuff like that for games. And,
yes, September 5th. I need 4.
There you go. There you go.
Brian being the first person on the list now to make sure he gets tickets to September.
That's right.
Game.
I have my dates lined up. There are games where I'm going to miss, but I'll be texting you guys. All right, here's my dates. Help me out.
That's right. That's right. We'll be sneaking them in that parking lot. So anyway, well, Brian, man, we appreciate you, dude. And you brought a ton to this, and we appreciate your friendship. And we know that we're recording after 9:00, and so
the sacrifices I make, even in my last appearance, it's bedtime, guys.
That's right.
Guys, have a great season. Anything I can do to help, please. And fans, please continue to support these 3. forward with Tyler being our producer and continuing to help with these episodes. But guys, again, love y'all. Good luck with this season. I'll see y'all soon. Okay.
All right. See you, Brian.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. We got to, there we, oops. I took Jamie off. My bad. I took the wrong person off. All right. Well, man, we appreciate Brian, and we're not going to belabor that anymore because we're 15 minutes in. I get it. So, but we'll talk about, we'll make references back and forth to Brian throughout this season, I'm pretty sure, and pick on him. And now when we pick on him, he can't respond. So that's awesome. Anyway, so here's what we're going to do tonight, guys. We are going to give our thoughts on what we know so far in the preseason. But I think the best way of doing that is by walking methodically through this mailbag. You guys asked like an insane amount of questions and like really good questions. And so I think that's going to be the best way of doing that. I think in answering these questions, you'll kind of get what we were going to say anyway, right? I think we'll be able to take some opportunities to talk about that. So I think that's going to be the best use of our time tonight. There's no other segments. We're literally going to just do the mailbag and we're going to bounce. And so we're hoping to bring another preseason pod where we bring on a member of the staff to talk really about the roster construction, how that happened. We think you guys will appreciate that. Works with the GM and getting these players in and the portal, especially. And then potentially another guest that I think you guys would really want to hear from. So we're working on a couple more preseason pods coming up. But without further ado, Jamie, let's hit that mailbag, brother.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much covered in the mailbag like anything that we could possibly want to know about Duke football this year, and potentially some of last year's stuff too. But I'm gonna start out. I'm gonna come out swinging with @TSLester_. Never heard of that guy. I don't see a new guy. No, but
I think he's a basketball fan. Just started following football.
One of the scums, Tyler Lester. He wants to know if we can be more negative this year, which I'm pretty sure we could. I hope to not have to be. Like, I really want them to win, but we'll see. But he says, but really, anywhere from 3 to 8 wins is on the table this year. I agree. What outcome this year would be the most detrimental long-term wise? I don't think a 5-win season would mean back to 2007, but 2 to 3 wins could lose a lot of what's established.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and we'll get to a season prediction, episode, and we can give our predictions there. And I've not really come up with my official one yet in my head, but I agree with Tyler in the sense of a 2 or 3 win season would set us back mightily, because what you'll have there is you'll have a lot of exits from the roster. But I will say this: in the day and age in which we live, you are one big check away from creating your roster all over again and however you want it to be from year to year. So the question really is, if something like that were to happen, and none of us want to see that happen, could Manny and Nina and the rest of the crew there with the Iron Dukes and with all the fundraising, could they put it together to get a salary cap basically for football that could replenish it? So I don't want to see it happen, but it would definitely suck for sure.
I mean, we're literally like, it's back to the Darian Mensah thing, but we're literally 2 players away from being a preseason top 25 team and being a favorite in the ACC. I mean, we still don't know, and we'll get to defense. We still don't know what we're going to get there. But, I mean, with those 2 guys, Mensah and Barkate, I'm not even that mad at Cooper. I mean, he did what he had to do after Benedict Arnold bailed. But anyways, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. @H_, and here comes my first non-pronunciation correctly. Von Benschoten. I'm pretty sure I never pronounce his name correctly.
He gives you kudos sometimes. He'll give you kudos
because I pronounce it differently every time. So I think that I get it right at least once every 4 weeks or so. He says, I'll move on after this, but Duke is the defending ACC champion. This wasn't supposed to happen in my lifetime. When does this stop feeling like a bizarre glitch in the matrix and start feeling like we're actually allowed to expect Duke football to be good? When I first looked at this question, I was thinking, I understand the question, but when David Cutcliffe came and built the Duke up, I felt like I've expected Duke to be good since about, what was it? Was it 2011 when we went to
12,
the
12,
12, 11?
13. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like since then I've kind of expected Duke to be good, but then we had the couple of hiccup seasons there at the end with Cutcliffe, which sucked. But Elko came in and rev things back up again and showed that the roster that Cutcliffe had actually wasn't that bad. It was coaching all along that was an issue, which is, I hate to say that, but it just was. But I feel like I've expected to win since then. I don't know about you guys.
I think a lot of it is, and again, it's one of the truest things ever about Duke football, especially in the last 10 years. There's a lot of PTSD. We we enjoy the opportunities. We as the fan base enjoy the opportunities of winning and having these chances and getting to the ACC championship, and thinking in a lot of our minds it was a moral victory to get there. That we really had, in some people's mind, I'm not going to say we, but in some people's mind, they really didn't think they had a shot of beating Virginia after the way the game had played earlier in the season. But then to see the fact that Manny Diaz has done the job that he's done, I think eventually we have to get over that as a fan base. And I think a good season here, honestly, and like Josh said, we'll discuss that. If Duke can make a bowl game again, Duke is on the upward track. They're definitely going up. And they've done that in consecutive seasons over and over and over and over again. And if they were to get 9 wins again, oh my goodness, you talk about expectations for next season. But you got to roll with the punches sometimes. Roster construction is a new thing. It's 2026. That is college sports to a T this day and age. And until they put a salary cap out there, it's not going to change. Now, when they start getting the financials taken care of, it's a different ball game. But right now, you got to play with the chess pieces that they put out there on the table for you. So, as Duke fans, man, be glad where we're at. Remember the old days when it was 0-12 and we knew we didn't have a prayer of scoring more than 10 points a game against anybody, to now you're talking about the first month of the season could be come out of it 4-0 or 3-1. That's a great start, even though the rest of the season is a pain in the backside because it gets worse and heavier and harder. But anyway.
Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, that's what she said. So we're gonna move on and talk about defense a little bit. At Blade for Duke, Manny said a sense of entitlement crept into the defense last year. Do we have the leaders on defense this year to prevent that repeating itself? And should we experience early success? And I got a similar question from at Bentley Weeks, and we can kind of address both. He says, I'm sure you guys will talk about this, but I'm really excited about the potential of our defense as this season. Curious to know what changes y'all think were made defensively for the good, and some players y'all are excited to watch on that side of the ball. And Josh, I know we have a couple of players that you wanted to highlight that we have heard some great things about on defense.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, to the first question, mentioning kind of the entitlement that had set in on defense last year. As you guys who have listened to us for extended period of time, know we really early on we talked about players a whole lot, like good, bad, and ugly, and we really shifted away from like calling players out. But I will say that I don't believe I believe the question is a good question, and I do believe there was some stuff on the defensive side of the ball last year that ended up hurting the team, and so that's not our story to tell. But I do feel like there was some there was some stuff that just wasn't great for the morale of the team. Wasn't great for the locker room. There was some stuff that was going down, and I'm not talking about crazy stuff, but just some inconsistencies that were maybe allowed or that maybe happened from some of the key guys. And so it just is what it is. All that to say, it's going to be very interesting to see where this defense lands. In my opinion, Jonathan Packey potentially is coaching for his job as a defensive coordinator. You can't have 2 seasons like Duke had last year. Manny called out the secondary. in the at the ACC Media Days and talked about how how inconsistent and how bad the secondary was. He has said already in this fall camp that there is not one position in the secondary is taken. This is all an open battle, and so we've heard that a couple of guys have really stepped up. One being Pelly, that Pelly stepped up over this first week of camp at the safety position. We know there's a lot of guys that have come in transfer portal wise. Probably the highest, touted one of what I guess the guy that has the most snaps and you really think could really step right in is Dylan Flowers. And we've heard a lot of good things about Dylan Flowers. The lone safety that came in, the other corner is Keon Loud. And then the other safety that came in, Patrick Smith-Young, coming in from North Texas. And so I do think that there's been some very good progress made in the secondary. And here's what I'll also say. I know that last season was not the greatest season for Landon Callahan, Kamari Robinson, over in that other corner position. But listen, we've seen guys in this program progress throughout their career. And I'll give you a case in point. Luke Murgott. We've seen Luke Murgott go from where he was, barely getting on the field, doing special teams, whatever he's doing, to being legitimately like the hero of the defense last year in two different games. And so anyway, if that can happen with Luke, then I'm all about Kamari and Landon earning their spots back and playing, getting back on the field and taking significant snaps. And so nothing against those guys. So that's kind of where we're at on that defensive side. Big picture. I'm sure we'll get maybe some details about that later. But Scott, you got anything on the big picture defense?
I mean, kind of like what you just said. Manny said at the media days that they didn't have a starter on defense right now, which I don't believe that after looking at who the two top linebackers are. But still, the other 9 positions, that's a great thing to have. Honestly, to be going this far into camp or this early into camp, knowing that you have these positions to fill and all these guys have a chance. Not just 1 or 2 people. Everybody on that defensive side has a chance to potentially be a starter. I mean, how hungry are you? That's the most important question. How hungry are these guys to get on the field, to wear the Duke jersey, to make hits, play snaps? And I think that's a great thing to have. Competition always makes you stronger and makes you better.
And look, this defense, how many times did we see them get in, teams in 3rd and 7 plus? You got them in the right position. You got them exactly where you wanted them. And then you give up 15 yards here, 30 yards there. And it's just big play after big play after big play. And I mean, I think there's a few things that could be, cleaned up like pretty quickly to stop that and make, because you're a much better defense if you just get teams off the field, because you were getting them to 3rd down. Like that wasn't necessarily an issue. They were just on, like I said, on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they were giving up 15. I'm glad to see Nick Morris healthy, and he looks great out there. Just like I hope we can get a fully healthy season out of Nick Morris, man. I look forward to just seeing him, unleashed out there. Let's see. At Fish Fry 02, our guy JD. Lots of holes to fill on both sides of the ball for different reasons. Where's the biggest hole? And who are some players that are expected to play bigger roles this year than last? And a similar question from George Bunn on Facebook. Besides QB, which position gives you the biggest concern?
Yeah, definitely. Good, Scott. Good.
Now, I would say wide receiver. I think that's the one place that Duke doesn't have guys who are starters. I mean, they're replaced so much from that position. I mean, there's some great names out there. There's some young guys that have had great summers, had great springs, and a lot of potential. That you go back to the same thing I said a minute ago. There's, so many guys out there that have a chance. And for Duke to be successful, they're going to need the wide receiver play to be very good, because obviously, they've got the best tight end in the conference on one side, and another guy, which I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, Nate Kariski on the other side, who I talked to Brewer during baseball season. He said Kariski is a great guy to be with Jerry as a blocker and a receiver. So I mean, who doesn't want that? Who would not want a 2 tight end set to be able to help the team out the way they are? That's why I'm not reading the comments, just so y'all know that. So, but man, that to me, the wide receiver room, I think, is the biggest question. But I think there's going to be some guys there, like most of the transfers are going to be names that we're going to hear a lot about, especially that first game against Tulane.
Yeah, I mean, some of those names, obviously, Jared Richardson is the main guy coming from Penn, and then Javin Nicholas, another guy that we're hearing. I think it's Javin Nicholas coming from Charlotte. When he committed, I was able to reach out to our guy G Loftus there, that's at Charlotte. Ask him about him. He's like, dude, that guy's a stud. He's like a running back with a wide receiver's body. Like, he's just hard to take down. And then I think you're going to see Jaden Moore, at least from what I saw at camp. On day one, there was a little bit of those three running together, which is kind of interesting because I think Jaden and Nicholas kind of play the same slot-ish position. So we'll see how that progresses, over time. But I think those are some names. And then, I know we'll get into QB, so we'll kind of skip that. But I would agree with you. The other Scott, the biggest question mark, obviously the other one we've already mentioned, secondary, major question marks. But one more name I'll mention, wide receiver, is Jonah Burton. Just keeping your eyes on him. And I would say this also, Duke fans, pay attention to what the football team puts out on social media. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, they do that for a reason. There's plenty of plays that happen in practice, right? There's plenty of plays they could put up. They put the ones up that they do for a reason. So pay attention to them. That's all I'll say.
And honestly, all aboard the Nate train too, because he's going to catch some balls out of the backfield. Like, wait for it, maybe. Yep, there we go. All right. Next question. Our guy at the Duke of QP is in mid-season. And the Duke will laugh at that. He's in mid-season form. Like, that's all I can say. He's already he's in championship form in this.
He takes no offseason for the Duke. no offseason.
No offseason. Like, Dan the Man Mahan is listed at 6'2" and 195 pounds. Walker Eget is at 6'3", 235. For our QBs, do you know if Coach Diaz has a preference for length or girth? And I don't know. Size does not matter, Duke. Size doesn't matter. My short king in Charlotte is showing that.
Yep, and Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, yeah. But it appears that Brewer may have a type. I'm just saying. Because we started with Malik Murphy. We went to Mensa, who Mensa was
now,
wasn't Mensa 6'4"?
Malik Murphy was brought in before Brewer was hired.
True.
I gotta say that.
Wasn't Mensa 6'4" too?
He's 6'3", yes, 6'3", I think. I will say, and I'm gonna give my honest thoughts about QB. Do we have another straight up QB battle question?
Yeah, at Big Deck Defender. Thoughts on the QB1 battle. QB is often decided by who has the bigger cojones.
That's right.
So my question is actually who has the bigger nuts.
I think the Duke responded to that one, FYI.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I would say to the QB battle question, I do believe, and I did not believe this for the last two seasons, just to be honest with you. I do believe there's a real QB battle going on. And I believe that Dan Mahan came into this as sharp as ever. I have heard from multiple people inside the program that Dan impressed them, not only in the spring, but has continued to impress over the summer. So I do not believe that they're just handing this to Walter Eget. With that being said, Walter Eget's 23 years old, I believe. He has taken a ton of collegiate snaps. He has his numbers pre-injury were good. Now, granted, level of play, all that's got to be taken into consideration. Also, granted, if you watch some tape, you can come up with good, bad, and ugly, just like you can with anybody. But I do believe that if you have to choose between like 23-year-old and like 19-year-old, which I think that's what Dan is, he could be 20. If you have to choose between guy that's got snaps, guy that doesn't have hardly any snaps, you're gonna probably give that to the older guy. Now, caveat: everything you've seen with Walter Eget on it, I was there in person. He's got like an O lineman knee brace on right now, and now that could be strictly so that thing stays very stable. They don't want him messing or tweaking anything up during camp. That could be that. Absolutely, that does impede him from being mobile as much. Just once again, just being straight up. So I don't know where that is. That could be once again all precautionary. I do know this. I can report on this because we were at practice and they said you can report on it. They did not have him run lateral movement drills at practice. They were doing some lateral movement stuff with the other quarterbacks. To put it in perspective, Terry Walker injured his knee last season as a high school senior. Injured his knee. He is going through all the workouts. He does not have a brace on his knee. He's the third string guy. So just for perspective there. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not even hinting at things. I'm just telling you the facts about what's going on. So if you put a gun to my head and told me I had to select who's going to be the starting QB right now, I would probably say it's going to be Walter Eget. I would probably say that just because of the age. But I will say, like, I think Duke fans, especially local fans, like Duke fans have this thing. If there's a local QB, like they want to see that guy. And we screamed for Gunnar Holmberg for like, a solid year and a half. And then we got him. And so, but I think Duke fans would love to see Dan get a shot, and we'll see. That may happen on week 1, or it may happen later.
My personal opinion on that part is I think going into the first game, we may actually see both quarterbacks. I think that's a good way to start the season because, in all honesty, you can see do what he does in practice. But until he gets hit or has to move in the pocket, you don't really know. And they're going to take, they're using him, working with him with kid gloves. And that's the way you should with the guy coming off the injury like that. So who knows? I mean, obviously, whoever's going to be the best quarterback, I'm okay with it. And if we have a backup that's just as good to go in if something were to happen, then hallelujah, amen. Let's go do what we got to do.
And quickly, we have had just 2, Jordan Phil and a similar one from Thomas Rose. Wanted to know if there was a chance we saw Terry Walker this year, which, I mean, it's possible because of the redshirt rule, right? I mean, there is
he gets 5 years now. Yeah.
I mean, he could play like in a blowout. If there's a blowout, I would think it would be possibly he could get some time.
Yeah, it would have to be 2 injuries or a blowout. For him. I mean, listen, like I love the kid. The kid hung out at the tailgate last year. Like, I'm all about that kid. But like, he's a true freshman who didn't play last year as a senior. Like, there is no way and no shot that he's gonna like jump either one of the other 2 guys. He would say that, like, if he were on here. So, and that's nothing against Terry Walker, but like that doesn't happen, especially at quarterback. Like, there's a Nate Shepard thing for sure. Chandler Rivers came in and played as a true freshman, but like true freshmen do not come in and play quarterback. That is just Jordan Moore came in his freshman year and like ran like kind of a wildcat kind of quarterback situation, like once every blue moon, right? That's about what you would get from a freshman quarterback. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure how often we get in a blowout this year, but I would love to see him get some experience snaps. That would be great. Like, obviously, I would be hoping that Duke would be doing the blowing out, like not us getting blown out. But
I would say there's a better chance of seeing Terry Walker than Ari Fatu.
All right. And at Brinson, Matt 10, he wants to know who we would compare Dan Mahan and Walker Eget to in the past Duke football seasons. And I got one right off. Dan Mahan, my guy Riley Leonard. But I think
Dan was what was it? The number 9 overall dual threat quarterback coming out of high school.
But I actually think Dan can throw the ball better than Riley already. Like, from what I've seen, I'm not sure. Y'all got anything for Eget? I'm not.
I would say sure. Eget maybe comps to Daniel Jones a little bit. I mean, I don't know that because I
hope he can run like Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I've never seen him play before. That's the thing.
Yeah, his film's got a little potential, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, the numbers say a lot, but with the knee being the way it is, you don't know what you're going to see there either until he gets out there and plays. So that's a tough one either way.
All right.
By the way, come back in like week 3. If he starts the first 3 weeks, we may have a better comp for you.
Right, that's true. Peter Dodge, and this is when Peter's trying to trip me up here, but I'm gonna get around it. This is for Jamie. I was disappointed. Songa Polu Tele. Is that right? Did I get it?
That's very close. That you would not get canceled for that.
Calgorithm. I got it. Like that's my guy, anyways. Like I'm really like. I mean, hey, they put us in the ACC championship game. JKS is forever a Duke legend now. Like so.
That's right.
He is criminally underrated by the ACC media, by the way, too, because I think he could be potentially one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I mean, looking off what I saw last year versus this year, but that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to talk about other quarterbacks, but I hope he does well because we don't play him this year. Although important, Duke was able to get K. That's all I'm going to say, to help in the secondary from Stanford. Correct? He came from Stanford, played ACC ball, so that helps. That definitely helps. My question is, who will Duke play in Charlotte in December? Welcome back, boys, and I think Duke football will once again meet our expectations and surprise those not paying attention.
Well, we don't know what our predictions are going to be yet, but it is good to have another guy in the secondary. I'll give him that, and the guy with ACC snaps under his belt. And Jamie, kudos for not taking the bait there. And yeah, I would say if we had to right now say who Duke's going to play in Charlotte, we can only hope that it is Billy's boys from down the street there, because we know they'll be there. The question is, will we get there? We know the 33rd NFL team will be there.
See, my take on that is there is no way under God's little green earth that he is going to be able to get Jordan Hudson and her cheerleading team to work the halftime show there and be able to coach at the same time. It's just not going to happen. They're going to suck. They suck. They're always going to suck. And hopefully they lose again to us because they suck. Carolina doesn't even they wouldn't need to go to Charlotte. They don't really need to go to Ireland because they're going to get the butts kicked over there. But that's, it is what it is.
Honestly, I'm not sure Belichick's going to make the season opener at this point.
Man, can you imagine our friends at the Tar Pit, pod? They have to talk about the offseason, bro. And they have to act like they have to come in and like be upbeat about what's going on. And like Lombardi's out, Steve Belichick's out. Like, and I mean, and I'm not making fun of that. Like, that's a health need. Like, but I mean, that's the reality right now. You got no defensive coordinator. You've got no GM. Yeah.
And your
anyway, and you did not hit the portal. Like that stuff did not happen.
And honestly, your best quarterback is at Wake Forest now.
Yep.
So
and taking the high road, by the way.
Yeah,
and you can obviously tell he wants to say so much.
But they just, whoever they have at quarterback, it really doesn't matter. Now, Bobby Petrino is going to do okay. He's a great coordinator, but keep him away from the volleyball team.
No sound effects.
God. At Bleeding Duke Blue, Sam, our guy. Glad to have y'all back. He says, I'm curious what he wants to know what we think the likelihood of Hazley leading the team in catches is. And if he does, is it bad for us regarding the production from the wide receiver room, or is it just a testament to Hazley's talent / the scheme? Yeah. Obviously, we know he's the real deal. So
he had an incredible second half of the season, right? Like he just went crazy. But I would say, here's what I'll compare it to. Having your tight end lead your team in receptions is like having a safety lead your team in tackles. It's like you don't want the last line of defense being the one getting all your tackles, because that means guys got through the line and they got through your linebackers. I would say the same for receptions. You want your wide receivers to get the majority of your receptions. The only way that I see this working and it not being a bad thing if that were to happen would be if legitimately it is like play action, dink and dunk. Like Hazley is just the guy that's just always there and always open, and he's the release guy. And so like I think it could happen. I think Jeremiah Hazley is as talented of a tight end as we've had. I believe that he could play at the next level. Maybe his size is a tad bit of the only challenge that he would have there. And like he's incredible. And like we all know the history there of coming in as a linebacker, switching over to tight end. I think he played both in high school. And the injuries, the Northwestern injury and all that good stuff. So I would love it for Jerry if he led the team in receptions, but I don't know that it would be the best thing for the team, if that makes sense.
There's a case study for this, and I know y'all get tired of me mentioning the team in Charlotte, but Greg Olsen.
Hey, that is a great comp.
Yeah,
that is a great comp right there.
He was the only player that Cam had, and Greg Olsen is on another level, and I believe Hazley is on another level, and we're going to see that. But like Josh said, also we need to get these receivers involved and hope they open things up. I mean, because they would just open things up and open things up for everything, including Nate Shepard, who is clearly not probably. I don't know why I said probably. He's clearly the number one player on offense, and we'll get into that. I thought this was an interesting question from @Mr. Ed 315. How does the current NC eligibility chaos affect? He said all Duke athletics, but we're just talking football, so I didn't know if Josh had any comments on this or not.
Yeah. I mean, no, I would say like I did rack my brain when I saw this question trying to think of, who are the 4-year guys this past season that graduated in their 4th season and could potentially have a 5th season. And like the way that Duke football operates is like kind of old school red shirt in a lot of ways. And a lot of guys were already here for 5 years. And then guys that weren't here for 5, a la Chandler Rivers, they're drafted. They're playing in the NFL. They're, like they've got these contracts and like they're moving on. And so they've already moved on. So like I couldn't think of someone that's just straight 4-year guy that Duke's like, hey, we'd love to have this person back. And then I'm just trying to be realistic here. If you were a 4-year guy, you played all 4 years, and you for some reason are not in a training camp for an NFL team right now, I don't know that Duke is gonna be banging on your door to come back. And I'm not being a jerk with that. That's just the reality of it. And same thing, I think basketball, and this is not a basketball pod, I think basketball can see this if Caleb Foster decided they want to stay for a 5th season next year. Great. RJ Davis did it at Carolina under the old rules, the COVID, whatever. But I don't think for football it's going to make a big difference.
God dang it. Seriously? God, I was literally clicking on the mute button, man. It was not unmuting. Like, so if you're keeping count, it's mute button like 4, Jamie 0. @CB Jones 725 wants to know how many carries a game do we think Nate should get, and who do we anticipate will be the RB that gets the second most carries? Shout out to Byron Lee Black on Facebook for the same type question.
Well, I think probably in a perfect world scenario, 20 to 22. I think that's a fair amount. I mean, if you've given him 30, 35 a game, that's not good. That means you're going to wear him into the ground before the end of September. To answer your question, though, I posted this day before yesterday, after seeing CJ Campbell in some highlight videos. That kid is a great compliment to Nate, and that's a really good 1-2 punch. And let's be honest with you, that's one of the things Duke has had over the years is a nice 1-2 punch where you got the main guy, but you also can bring the other guy in, just like last year, Nate and the King Castle. I mean, those two guys were great, and they played great off each other. So I think and who knows? I mean, Brewer said, again, I talked to Brewer during the baseball season a couple times. He was telling me that Kariski was going to be really good at tight end, and they had 2 really good freshmen, but he said Campbell was really good. So that's one name to look at as we go into the second week of camp.
Yeah, and I would say just for everybody, for CJ Campbell, by way of Florida State and Rutgers, is kind of how he got here. And then I would say CJ Givers, is a guy that you could potentially see. And I believe there's a couple of others. I'm not trying to just single him out, but I think, I mean, look, Nate bulked up. Manny talked about that. Nate bulked up. He wants to get more of the short yardage, goal line type stuff. And I really do feel like that he's really trying to take the next step and get ready for the league. So, and by the way, my carries for him would be as many as possible. I'm sure his family and his potentially his agent are going to have something to say about that, because you don't want to run the kid. You don't want to Mateo Durant the kid like David Cutcliffe did. So we'll see.
I have a question though, and I know you probably don't know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway just to get your thoughts. Like in the NFL, you get more money for stats. Do you think that happens in college football? Do you think that if a guy has, let's say, 22 touchdowns, if he can get over 22, he gets a bonus?
So I will say this: when it was NIL, I can speak to that. I can't speak to what goes on now under these new rules. You are not allowed in the NIL space to give incentives on performance on the field. Now, with money coming from rev share, now you may be able to do that. I have no idea, but I know with the NIL stuff, you couldn't do that. Now, it was kind of like one step away though, because like you have 15 touchdowns, right, as a running back. Guess what increases? Your NIL value. So like your NIL value increases, you get more money. You know, it may not be written in your contract when you hit this exact thing, we're going to give you X amount of money, but your NIL value goes up. So like, it just is what it is. You get injured, your NIL value goes down. And that's the good and the bad of this system. But I don't know the answer to that, and I can maybe find that out and bring it to one of the other episodes.
And Nate too. I mean, he's looking to be a potential first round draft pick, in my opinion. Like if he had, you got to stay a third year in college too, right? In the NFL, so he was a true freshman. He's a sophomore. He's got to stay one more year, hopefully with Duke. Fingers crossed. But I mean, he's looking at first round draft pick. Like, I mean, he's that good. I got to ask this question. This is our guy, Timmy Gonzalez, at Timmy Gold 210. And even Josh had to hear about this. Like, I know he's a huge wrestling fan, but even he saw this all over social media. Had to have. Can we get WWE superstar Danhausen to curse our opponents this year? Because for those who did not see it, he was all over social media with the Knicks, and he was cursing like their opponents, and then the Knicks won the NBA title. So, I mean, if it works, it works. But I don't think Josh saw it.
I have nothing to say.
I don't think he saw it. It was all over social media.
Can we get him to curse the one opponent 8 miles away?
Yeah.
No. We want him to curse the opponent in Coral Gables. We want everything bad to happen in Coral Gables.
Listen.
Except the injury. I wouldn't wish an injury on
everything but, though. Everything but.
Interceptions.
Anything and everything but injury.
I don't want to say what I want to say, but I'll say this much. They haven't won an ACC championship. When they win the first ACC championship, call me back and let me know.
Well, they may very well be calling you in December, Scott, potentially. But it hadn't happened yet. You're right.
Then let them call me.
That's right.
It is what it is.
All right, I'm gonna do two more. I thought this was a good one from @bleedblue_24. Will we see another single season TD record broken yet again? Which that could be anything. That could be Nate. How many touchdowns for a running back?
I'm gonna look it up. It's Mateo.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could be Nate breaking it.
While you're looking at that, also look up the tight end touchdown receptions.
Yeah.
I shout out to the Scums.
Okay.
Shout out to the Scum. Am I unmuted? Yeah. Shout out to the Scums. He is 4 away.
Okay.
I think it was Eli or Noah on the Scums podcast said that he's 4 away from breaking the all-time record. Let's see here.
I would say yes, we will see a single season, or see a Duke record. Now I don't know. Now single season record is different, obviously.
Yeah. Single season. I think Mateo at 1,241 yards. That doesn't sound right.
That's close.
9 touchdowns. I'm gonna find out what is the Duke.
No, that 1,241 sounds right. Because we were actually kind of counting that down that week.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so he's got a single season for yardage. Yeah, I do believe that is
Yeah,
correct.
Mateo Durant over Steve Jones. He got it by 5 yards.
That's right.
All right. Oh, I think rushing touchdowns could
It's
be
like
Brandon Connett.
It was Brandon Connett.
it's quite
It
a
is
few,
Brandon
right?
Connett.
Yeah.
14.
14, okay.
Winston.
Nate was real-
I'm sorry. We got to give a shout out. It's also our guy, Winston
Thomas.
Siegfried
Oh.
from 1941. He shares it with Brandon Connett.
Well,
So
Peter
Nate was
Dodge, I'm
only-
sure, was watching him back in those days. So
That's
Nate
right.
was only 3 touchdowns away from breaking that last
And
year.
he split
Oh, yeah.
tons of carries,
Yeah,
and Anderson
yeah.
Castle got a bunch of them. So, like,
Yeah.
yes, to answer the question, Nate Shepard could break both records this year, and I hope he does it.
All right. Last question. Our Regina Lee _LA out in Cali. What's our favorite tailgate food?
I saw this question. I've got to say, and it's a double shout out because both of the guys, 2 different guys have done this. My guy Ben, the Bayou Blue Devil, right? He does the Cajun, like the jambalaya. And then also Rocket Man has done like a Cajun kind of a theme. For some reason, I'm down. I am down for the Cajun. I'd throw some extra hot sauce on it. So that's my favorite tailgate food. And honestly, you might say that doesn't sound like tailgate food. You're right, because our tailgate food is different than your tailgate food. We don't do hot dogs and hamburgers. We do Cajun freaking food. You know, we have some pork loin up in there sometimes. You know, we do some crazy stuff. So that's what I'm going with. The Cajun. Shout out to the Bayou Blue Devil and to the Rocket Man. Scott, what you got?
Oh, I'll go ahead. My favorite one, shout out to Matt for his breakfast, which that might be what Scott says. So I'm gonna move on to something else. But our first year tailgating with the hard hat guys, Matt did hibachi chicken on the black top or whatever, and it was
It's called a Blackstone, Jamie.
Blackstone black top. Yeah, he did it on the pavement there. Like,
he could have probably it has like a late August game.
dude, that chicken was so good, man. And he did the fried rice, the rice right there on the Blackstone. Like, it was so good. I still remember that, and I really don't think he's done it since. Like, but that was elite. I'm like, shout out to Matt.
yeah, I mean, obviously, I am the breakfast guy. I could do all the breakfast that we always have. I love the bacon, the eggs, the pancake bites, the grits. You know, when we bring biscuits, when we have the sausage balls, man, when we have the donuts. That's just me. I mean, honestly, I love breakfast food, and technically donuts and stuff are not breakfast food, but they are for some people. So that is my favorite if you want to know the answer to the question.
And by the way, shout out to the tailgate. We're going to be in lot B3 again this year, and we are expanding. We are making more food. We are coordinating more. We have had 2 different Zooms in the off season with all the crew, and it's gonna be sick. We're like, certain people are going to be responsible for drinks, certain people are responsible for food. We're organizing everything a little bit more. And so do not miss the tailgate. Even if the team is not playing well, the tailgate is undefeated. Tailgate's undefeated. Well, Jamie, thanks for going through those questions, man. We had a whole lot. There's a few we didn't probably get to. We'll do mailbags, in these preseasons, so maybe we'll get back to them and answer those questions. Like I said, we will be bringing on at least one member of the staff that will kind of help us walk through some of the roster and how it was put together, and then potentially another one. And then we'll do a predictions pod. We're still figuring out how we want to do the predictions this year. We know we do want you guys to be able to submit those. And we have a lot of fun with that every year. So anyway, also one of the things we want to tease out, look into a live in-person pod, and that live in-person pod would include like some pretty epic giveaways that I've been thinking through. So we'll let you know about that. It'll be in Durham, near East Campus. We've already kind of got a location, and we just got to get all the details worked out. And we'd love to hang and see everybody. So without further ado, shout out Brian Kennedy. Gonna miss Brian. Want to thank Brian for the years and the preparation and all the work that he's done for us. But For Jamie Holt, for Scott Medlin, for producer Tyler. He's hanging in the shadows, guys. You can't see him. We can see him. He's staring off into space right now. Upper right. He's looking. There he is, giving us the peace sign offline. But producer Tyler, my name is Josh Cox. This has been another episode of the Section 17 podcast.